In this presentation, I'm going to provide a scenario from some people that we know, Dr. Saylor, and actually somebody I know, about a situation that happened to one of my colleagues, and how Dr. Saylor and Dr. Kugler were advocates for a fellow athletic trainer. So we're going to talk about advocacy. So let's talk about the scenario first before we talk about the actual assignment that you're going to do in our class. So Dr. Saylor received a text from my friend and his old friend. He is a athletic trainer in Gonzales, California. He's a high school athletic trainer and a biology professor or teacher there. He got a text that the school board at his school is considering a proposal from a local therapy group to provide licensed vocational nurses to cover sports events. Yes, you heard that right. The school board wanted LVNs to cover athletic sporting events. So this is the agenda item from Gonzales Unified School District about having LVNs provide care for sports. So my friend Feedy, and some of you may be interviewed by Feedy, if you do the high school mock interview. He was the athletic trainer for the school when this was all going on. So he hears about this, he gets wind of it, and here is more information about the details from the ProCare Therapy about hiring LVNs to work to provide health care for, or just be there during games. And look how much they're saying they're going to get paid: $70 an hour, minimum of 32 and a half hours. Be nice if us athletic trainers could get $70 an hour from the school. So what action can be taken here? So Dr. Saylor was thinking about what should he do? What's he going to write about? So he wrote a letter where he addressed the actual scenario. What's going on here? When we write a letter, because one of the things you're going to do for this assignment is you're going to write a letter for to be an advocate for something. And we'll talk about more about that. But what can be done here is writing a letter, generally writing a letter to a civic leader or government official or school administrator. You may write about a cause for which you are passionate that needs action. You can write to address and provide feedback about the problem, or thank a civic leader, government official, or school administrator for supporting something positive. Who do I write to? Find the name of the local civic leader, government official, or school administrator by asking people at your school or home, by reading a local newspaper, or conducting internet search. If your article is not about a local issue, identify a civic leader, government officials, school administrators, or other relevant people who live near or involved in the issue. You can use websites such as usa.gov, govtrack.usa, opencongress.org, or your city's council, chamber of commerce will list the contact people in their full name and addresses. Copy the address exactly as it's listed. And what should my letter say? First, introduce yourself. For example, your level in school, name of your school, where you live. Summarize the issue, including what it is, what has or has not been done to address it, and how long has it been a problem. Describe how the issue impacts you and or your patients, your school, and your local community. Ask for a response and say thank you. Again, you're going to be doing this as an assignment. You're going to write a letter to be an advocate for something. Some general writing tips and rules. You want to be specific and concise. Get to the point, not a lot of blubbering around. Again, emphasize only your main point so that you don't distract the reader with other topics and thus dilute your goals. Lastly, be clear and direct about the issue, your opinion, and your suggestions. If your letter is vague, then you receive a vague and unhelpful response, which is not what you want. You want to be specific. Tell them what you want done and why it needs to be done. Get to the point. If there's a monetary issue involved, say how much money you're going to save or those type of things. Okay, and we're going to work through this. So this is what Dr. Saylor, and I have these couple letters in our class so you can see them in more detail and you can read here. Scott broke his rule and went over a page, but you can read through that letter, addressed why this was a bad idea, hiring LVNs to take care of athletes. So at the time, I think... at the time he was not the president of the NATA, but he says in his signature, past president of the NATA. So that gives some validity on who he is, being a professor of athletic training at an athletic training program, those type of things. So that's one example. Then our state association, the California Athletic Trainers Association, also got involved with Dr. Kugler, who was the president at the time. So Dr. Saylor went to Dr. Kugler, and he got involved in this too and wrote another letter, which, again, I provide you a copy of this letter. So after those letters were written, the superintendent wrote a letter, and you can read what she says in there. But as you can, I'm looking at the last line in the first paragraph. As you'll see, there is no mention of sports medicine, but sporting events. While I appreciate your advocacy for athletic trainers, GUSD employees an athletic trainer, one of the few in the county. Our hiring of LVNs on contract is to expand, not replace any employee. Okay, sure, that's what's going on. Now, some of the background story here is that this superintendent and the athletic trainer had a confrontational relationship, and I won't go into the details why, but that's some of the things why this superintendent was trying to replace the AT with LVNs. That's not what she's saying here in this letter, but that's not the truth. So what's the outcome here? The district passed a proposal to hire the LVNs, but the board ensured that the athletic trainer, that the LVNs would only help the school nurse and not cover any sporting events. And side note, the superintendent was fired during that same meeting. And I have background information on that, but it's not important for this particular assignment. So, again, that superintendent and my friend had not a very good relationship, and she was trying to basically hurt my friend. But my friend was prepared to do something like this. He reached out to people who can assist him, like Dr. Saylor. Dr. Saylor also went to Dr. Kugler. And so that's the other part of this assignment, is reaching out. It doesn't say this in here, but it does, but it doesn't. You're going to reach out to those who can help you with this. Okay, so let's talk about the assignment that you're going to actually do in this class. You're going to write a letter to advocate for a specific issue. So Here's some ideals. These aren't the only ones. I'm going to try to give you some other ideals as we keep going on. Some ideals. Do you have an opinion about an issue facing your community? Would you like to tell someone who can make a difference? Would you like to raise an awareness about this issue among your family, friends, community members, and get them involved? Writing a letter as a local civic leader to a local civic leader, government official, or school administrator is the perfect solution. Because those are the people that have been voted in, especially civic leaders and government officials and school administrators. We vote them into office. They're supposed to represent us. That's their job, is to represent us in government. So the assignment, the letter should be limited to 1 page, quick and to the point, because these people just don't have a lot of time. So you need to get to the point and be creative, be realistic, write a unique letter, will get attention. But if the ideals that you're having are unattainable, so like this one, such as suggesting free drinks for students every Friday at lunch, and then the letter's just going to get thrown in the trash. It's going to get dismissed. You have to make a persuasive argument for the topic that you want to address. So here's some more examples that you can include. You can interview a staff at a local high school and investigate what is being done to manage student athletes who sustain a concussion. Sharing this information with classmates and community members. That's at the individual level, which you can do. Setting up a panel presentation at a community event to share the impact of athletic injuries on the time loss in schools. This is a service level type of advocacy. Collaborating with rural school board members to implement policies regulating implementation of CIF guidelines for the management of concussion in the absence of an athletic trainer. This is at activism level. Or you can do something to advocate for NATA month. Depends on the issue. I mean, we had not too long ago at a NFL game where a football player was given CPR during the football game. So, something that can be advocated for is that all schools, high schools, have an AED, or college has an AED. The staff, the coaches, support staff are trained in CPR and AEDs. So something like that. That's something that can be. It's pretty broad. It depends on what we see going on. Some guidelines. When you write the letter, have somebody else review your letter before you send it. If you're not the best writer, this is when you want to get some help with writing. I'm assuming that Fresno State has some kind of writing center. I'd have to look into that, but I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of writing center on campus. Make sure that spelling's correct, grammar's correct, because if you have spelling errors and grammar errors, it's going to get thrown in the trash. Type your letter, no handwritten letter. I don't prefer handwritten letters. I prefer that you type for our assignment. Remain polite and professional, even if you are upset about the issue. Blaming elected officials or their staff is not productive as being respectful and offering constructive ideals. It's okay to disagree with people, but we can disagree with people with respect. Include a return address on your letter and an envelope, unless it's sending this thing by email. Okay, last thing. You can work in groups of 2 for this assignment, which I think what is a good idea if you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I provided those letters from Dr. Saylor and Dr. Kugler, and I believe there's also a sample letter. I provided that in Canvas. This assignment's not due until April 23rd, so you have time to work on this. look at different topics that may be coming up. Maybe look at your immersive, talk to your preceptor about some ideas of things that you can write about. We can work on this together, think about some topics. If as a class we may decide let's all pick one topic, and deal with that topic and write a couple different letters. I'm sure we'll have questions as we go. I look forward to seeing your final outcome for this assignment.